Statistics South Africa will be releasing the newly reweighted CPI. The CPI is primarily made up of two components. On the one hand are the prices that we measure on a monthly basis. But those prices feed into a basket of goods and services, of which there are approximately 400. Each of those products and services has what we call a weight, which reflects its relative importance in calculating the overall CPI rate. Now, the weights and basket of the CPI are based on a detailed survey of household expenditure, which we conducted in 2010-11. We then make certain adjustments to those survey results based, for example, if people have underreported, let's say, on alcohol or tobacco. Perhaps they were not reporting exactly what they had spent. And in some cases, they over-report as well. So using alternative data sources, we would make some adjustments to the weights. We then do what we call price updating, which is taking the weights from the point of the survey up to the current time using relevant inflation rates, so that as best as possible they reflect price changes that have taken place over that period. If we look at the change in weights, we do see increases of weights for services and products that have increased dramatically in price. So electricity would be an example. Petrol is another example where we have seen big price increases. We also see a big weight increase for housing rentals and also for medical aid premiums. We've seen decreases in weights, for example, on purchase of vehicles and other durable goods such as household appliances, and also on tobacco products, which I'm sure the Department of Health will be happy about. Interestingly, the expenditure on food has remained roughly constant at about 14% of total household expenditure over the past 5 years. The survey shows us that over the past 5 years, South African households have got approximately 25% richer. And as households get more disposable income, they spend on more discretionary goods. So we do see items coming into the CPI basket such as feta cheese, mineral water, filter coffee. Other items coming into the basket include the services of plumbers and electricians, and also other items such as makheo or hair extensions. Some of the more basic items have also fallen out, such as samp or green laundry soap, as examples. The CPI is important for two reasons. First of all, it's a measure of inflation in the economy, and this is something that the Reserve Bank then uses to decide on whether interest rates are appropriately set. But for the average people in the country, the CPI is an indicator of changes in the cost of living. And in order to capture effectively the cost of living of different groups, Stats SA does publish a range of different measures of inflation. So, for example, we have inflation rates for different income groups. We have an inflation rate for pensioners. We have an inflation rate for rural areas, for different towns and cities and provinces across the country. And so it is possible then for people to identify within which group they fall and how inflation is affecting them directly. One of the other improvements that we're introducing is improved collection in informal markets. Approximately 10% of expenditure on food is in the informal sector, and up to now the CPI has not captured that. And we are now collecting food prices in informal markets as well. Another feature of the CPI this January is that the indices will be rebased. This is a kind of technical thing which can be confusing for people because it means that we change all the numbers. But essentially it irons out a number of issues that creep up over a period of time. Traditionally, South Africa has had a base year, which means that the average indices for a year are equal to 100. This time around, December 2012 will be the base period, which is just 1 month. This allows us to introduce new products much more smoothly and avoids a number of other possible distortions that you can get to the indices when you use the average of a year. The Reserve Bank doesn't only look at headline inflation when it's setting monetary policy, although that is the target measure. It would look at a range of other measures of inflation, for example, administered prices, which are prices set by government, or core inflation measures, which are measures of inflation that exclude certain items on a monthly basis. From January, Stats SA will be introducing an additional measure of core inflation, which is called a trimmed mean. This essentially means that we are cutting out on either end of the distribution of price changes 5% on the lowest side and 5% on the highest side to really get rid of the most volatile price changes so that we can try and identify where the base and the momentum of price changes is taking place within the economy.